At 92, Willie Nelson is finally admitting the truth about Kristofferson. Willie Nelson was born Willie Hugh Nelson on April 29, 1933 in Abbott, Texas. Nelson was raised in a small farming community during the Great Depression, which deeply shaped his character, work ethic, and music. His grandparents, who played a significant role in raising him, encouraged his love of music from an early age, giving him his first guitar at the age of 6. By the time he was just a boy, Willie was already writing his own songs and performing in local venues, planting the seeds of a career that would one day blossom into something great day blossom into one of the most remarkable in music history. Throughout his youth, Nelson worked a variety of jobs, everything from picking cotton to serving in the U.S. Air Force. But he always returned to music as his true calling. His early career was not easy. He moved to Nashville in the 1960s, where he found modest success as a songwriter, penning hits for other artists, including the iconic Crazy, made famous by Patti Cline. This song, among others, showcased his gift for blending raw emotion with poetic storytelling, a hallmark that would come to define his career. Although he struggled to break through as a performer in those early years, Nelson's perseverance never wavered. And in time, his determination paid off. By the 1970s, Willie Nelson had become one of the pioneers of the outlaw country movement, a style that pushed back against the polished, formulaic sound coming out of Nashville. Alongside contemporaries like Juan Jennings, Kristofferson, and Johnny Cash, Nelson helped carve out a space for a raw, more authentic brand of country music that spoke directly to the struggles, joys, and freedoms of everyday life. His albums, Shotgun Willie, 1973, and Red-Headed Stranger, 1975, are considered landmark achievements that forever changed the direction of the genre. Red-Headed Stranger, in particular, with its minimalist production and haunting ballads, solidified his place as a visionary. Willie's voice, immediately recognizable, slightly nasal, and tinged with a unique phrasing, became his signature. Unlike many singers who aimed for smooth perfection, Nelson leaned into his individuality, delivering songs with honesty and emotional depth rather than polish. This, combined with his mastery of guitar, especially his beloved beat-up Martin guitar, named Trigger, created an unmistakable sound that resonated with millions. As the decades went on, Willie Nelson became not only a superstar in country music, but a true crossover artist, collaborating with legends in rock, pop, and blues. Songs like On the Road Again, Always on My Mind, and Blue Eyes, Cry in the Rain transcended genres and became part of the American songbook. His collaborations in the Highwaymen supergroup with Johnny Cash, Waylon Jennings, and Kris Kristofferson only added to his mystique, presenting him as both an innovator and a guardian of country tradition. Beyond his music, Nelson's life story adds to his legend. Known for his trademark long braids, bandanas, and warm smile, he embodied the image of a free spirit. He became outspoken on issues close to his heart, including advocating for farmers through Farm Aid, a benefit concert series he co-founded with Neil Young and John Mellenchamp in 1985. He was also an early advocate for marijuana legalization, openly discussing its benefits long before it became mainstream. His activism, humor, and the down-to-earth personality endeared him to fans far beyond country music. Willie Nelson's personal life, like his music, has been marked by both triumphs and struggles. He endured financial hardships, including a very public battle with the IRS in the 1990s, but managed to turn setbacks into opportunities, even recording an album titled The IRS Tapes, Who Will Buy My Memories, to help pay off his debt. His resilience in the face of challenges only deepened the respect fans and fellow artists had for him, proving that Willie Nelson was not just an artist, but a fighter with an unbreakable spirit. Now in his 90s, Willie Nelson continues to tour, record, and inspire. His energy, humor, and unwavering love of music defy age, making him a rare example of an artist whose career has spanned more than 7 decades without losing authenticity or relevance. He remains a symbol of artistic freedom, individuality, and the enduring power of music to connect people across generations. Willie Nelson's personal life has been as colorful and eventful as his legendary music career, and much of it has been defined by the 4 marriages he has experienced over the course of his life. Each of his marriages tells a story not only about his private world, but also about the times he was living in, the struggles he endured, and the lessons he carried forward. Willie Nelson's first marriage was to Martha Matthews, a young woman from Texas whom he married in 1952 when he was still far from the fame and success that would later define his career. This was during a period when Nelson was struggling financially, working as a radio announcer and playing small gigs, desperately trying to break into the music business. Martha and Willie's relationship was passionate, but also tumultuous. They had 3 children together, Lana, Susie, and Willie Billy Hugh Jr., and while Nelson's love for his family was undeniable, the marriage was marked by instability, fiery arguments, and struggles that stemmed from poverty and Nelson's long absences while trying to build a career. Accounts from the time suggest that their union was stormy, often volatile, and at times destructive. The couple separated multiple times before officially divorcing in 1962. Their years together left a permanent mark on Nelson's personal history, both in the joy of fatherhood and in the pain of family conflict. Tragically, their son Billy would later die by suicide in 1991, a devastating loss that Nelson carried with him for the rest of his life. In 1963, Willie Nelson married Shirley Collie, a fellow country singer and a figure in the Nashville music world. Their marriage came at a time when Nelson was beginning to gain recognition as a songwriter and performer, and being married to someone who shared his musical ambitions seemed to make sense. Shirley was not only his wife, but also his collaborator. She and Nelson recorded songs together, including their duet Willingly, which gave Nelson his first chart success. However, despite their professional partnership, the marriage began to fray under the weight of Nelson's growing career, his restless personality, and his infidelities. The final breaking point reportedly came when Key discovered a bill for the birth of a child Nelson had fathered with another woman, Connie Kupke. That revelation was too much for Shirley to bear, and in 1971, the couple divorced. Still, Nelson's years with Shirley Collie represented an important era in his life, one where he was transitioning from obscurity to prominence, and her presence contributed to his early rise in the industry. Almost immediately after his divorce from Shirley, Nelson married Connie Kupke in 1971. Connie had already been part of his life before the marriage became official, and together they would go on to build a family, raising daughters Paula Carla Nelson and Amy Lee Nelson. This marriage lasted longer than his first 2, spanning 17 years, and it coincided with some of the most productive and transformative times in Willie Nelson's career. During his years with Connie, Nelson became a superstar, defining the outlaw country movement, releasing landmark albums such as Red-Headed Stranger, 1975, and achieving mainstream success with hits that made him a household name. Yet, while his professional life soared, his marriage to Connie was often strained. Nelson's fame brought temptations, long tours, and the challenges of being constantly in the public eye. Stories of his womanizing and infidelity became almost as well known as his music, and Connie, despite her patience and support, eventually grew tired of the betrayals. The marriage ended in divorce in 1988, but Nelson and Connie maintained a bond through their children, with Paula and Amy both going on to pursue music themselves, continuing their father's legacy in their own ways. In 1991, Willie Nelson married Annie D'Angelo, a makeup artist whom he had met while working on a film in the late 1980s. Annie entered Nelson's life at a time when he was older, wiser, and more reflective, and their marriage has proven to be the most stable and enduring of his 4 unions. Together, they have 2 sons, Lucas and Micah, both of whom inherited their father's musical talent and have pursued careers in music, sometimes performing alongside him. Annie has been credited with grounding Nelson, helping him manage his life and finances during difficult times, including his well-publicized troubles with the IRS in the early 1990s. She has also been a steady presence, supporting him through health scares and the natural challenges of aging. Their marriage, which has now lasted for more than 3 decades, stands as a testament to endurance, mutual respect, and genuine companionship. Unlike his earlier, more turbulent relationships, Nelson's partnership with Annie is often described as calm, supportive, and filled with love. She has played a vital role in creating a sense of stability for him in his later years, proving that even someone with as wild and storied a life as Willie Nelson can find lasting peace and love. At 92 years old, country music legend Willie Nelson is still full of stories, memories, and wisdom. Recently, Nelson has opened up in a way that fans rarely see, reflecting on his long friendship with another giant of American music, Kris Kristofferson. Both men have spent decades shaping the country and outlaw music movement, and their bond has always been admired by fellow musicians and fans alike. But now, as Willie reflects on his extraordinary life, he is finally admitting the truth about what Kris has meant to him and to music history. "People don't realize how much Kris did for all of us," Willie said in a quiet, reflective tone. "He wasn't just a songwriter. He was a poet, a storyteller, and he had this way of making you feel something deep down in your soul. I think without Kris, a lot of us wouldn't have found our own voices in the same way." For Willie, who has always been regarded as one of the most authentic voices in country music, admitting just how profoundly Kristofferson influenced the genre is no small thing. The two men first connected during the late 1960s and early 1970s, a time when Nashville's rigid structures were clashing with the rebellious, free-spirited energy of artists who wanted to break free from the system. "Kris was one of the first guys who showed us that we could step outside of the rules," Willie explained. "He didn't care about fitting into Nashville's mold. He wrote about life the way it really was, messy, beautiful, and sometimes painful." One of the truths Willie now shares openly is how Kris Kristofferson personally encouraged him when he was facing his own doubts. "There were times early on when I thought maybe I just didn't belong in this business," Willie admitted. "But Kris, he'd look me in the eye and say, 'Don't you ever change. Don't let them tell you how to sing your songs.' That kind of support, it meant the world to me." Their friendship grew even stronger when they both became part of the legendary supergroup, the Highwaymen, alongside Johnny Cash and Juan Jennings. Together, they redefined what it meant to be country stars, proving that artists didn't have to conform to the industry's expectations to reach massive audiences. "We had so much fun together," Willie recalled with a smile. "We laughed, we argued, we played music till the sun came up. And through it all, Kris was always the heart. He had this gentle soul, even though he could stand up and fight for what he believed in." Willie is also candid about the personal admiration he has always carried for Kristofferson's talents outside of music. "Kris could have done anything," Willie said. "He was a Rhodes Scholar, a military pilot, a movie star. But he chose songwriting because that's where his heart was. And thank God he did, because songs like Sunday Morning Coming Down or Help Me Make It Through the Night, those are masterpieces. They'll live forever." At this stage in his life, Willie knows he doesn't have to hold anything back, and his honesty about Kristofferson reflects both love and gratitude. "I don't think people ever gave him enough credit," Willie confessed. "Sure, he's in all the halls of fame and he's won the awards, but to me, Kris was one of the bravest voices of our time. He sang about real people, real struggles, and he never once tried to sugarcoat it. That's the kind of truth the world needs." Willie's admiration for Kris also comes from a deeply personal place. He admits that some of his own resilience and longevity in music is tied to the example Kris set. "I learned from him that you don't quit. No matter how hard it gets, you keep writing, you keep playing, you keep showing up. That's what Kris did, and that's what I try to do my whole life." As Willie Nelson continues to perform, even at 92, his reflections carry a weight that resonates with fans who see him as one of the last great living links to country music's golden era. His words about Kristofferson are more than a tribute. They are a reminder of how rare and important true friendships are in the often cutthroat world of the music industry. "Kris has been my brother in this journey," Willie said. "And if I had to sum it up, I'd just say I'm damn lucky to have walked this road with him." In admitting these truths now, Willie Nelson not only honors Kris Kristofferson, but also gives fans a window into the deep, unbreakable bonds that have sustained the outlaw country movement for half a century. It is a moment of raw honesty from a man who has always lived on his own terms. And it reminds us that behind the songs, the fame, and the legend, there are friendships that shape lives and music forever.